Now, you were named Forbes magazine by Forbes magazine as one of the top CEOs of the decade. Now, our students are 17 to 22 years old. So if we bring it down to a little smaller scale, say the fundamentals of opening a new coffee shop, what is important for a manager of a coffee shop to know?
Keep your revenues up and your costs down. Those are probably the two most important things. But it's like any business. If you're going to run it, whether it be big or small, you need to understand both your cost centers, which generally is some type of manufacturing operation, or in the case of a coffee shop, is the shop itself, the rent, the lighting bill, the cost of coffee, the cost of your equipment, those kind of things. And then you have to understand your revenue model. What is it that brings people into your coffee shop? What is it about you or what you serve that attracts them out of somebody's coffee shop and into yours? And it's to me, it's the manager who takes all that on, who stays on top of it the most, who wins.
Now, if a manager's good at doing what you suggest and that coffee shop becomes Starbucks, how does that management need to change through the growth?
In many ways, that management doesn't change, with the exception of one thing. When you own your own coffee shop, all those things that I just mentioned, for the most part, you can and do yourself. If you turn into Starbucks, all those things have to be done. They're the same essential elements, but you'll have to learn how to do that through large groups of people, separated by large distances and often even time zones. And that requires a lot in terms of communications, leadership skills, organizational skills, self-discipline, those kinds of things. I argue that all businesses in the end are the same. Some of them just have more zeros attached to the back of them because they're larger and are separated by time and distance. But the fundamental elements are all the same. If you have one coffee shop, you can, for the most part, do most of the important stuff yourself. If you have a large business, you have to learn how to accomplish exactly the same thing through large groups of people.
I hadn't talked about this earlier, but you and I, a couple of years ago, talked about some support you received from the School of Business and what that meant to you at a time. Could you relate that story?
Yeah, I actually got that through an internship. Okay. That I received. After the end of my junior year, I got an internship for the summer at Conoco. Spent the time mostly in Ponca City. Had a great time, learned a lot. At the end of the summer, but just as I was getting ready to move back to the campus here in Stillwater, they asked me to go to Houston, interview with some people, and as a result of that, they gave me some scholarship money. It was, I remember correctly, it was $250 for each of the last two remaining semesters, and then made a job offer that I could accept or reject upon graduation. The unique things about that is I had been dating a girl at the time, who is now my wife of 36 or 7 years. I get in trouble when she knows I didn't remember the exact count on it. But we really wanted to get married, but neither one of us had any money. And we couldn't quite figure out how to pull it off without any money. Didn't have money to buy a ring, didn't have any money to do anything like that. But when Conoco gave me those two scholarships, $500 in total for my last year, I remember coming home from Houston and getting home and calling Cindy and saying, if you still want to, we can afford to get married now.
That's great. That's a story that my wife Angela still remembers, because I believe Cindy related the same story independently.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Who knows what would have happened? Cindy was getting a teaching degree here. In fact, she was getting ready to student teach. I took the job with Conoco, graduated on a Tuesday, I believe. I think the ceremony was maybe on a Tuesday, and started work the following Monday in Wyoming. So we often wonder, had we not gotten married and we'd have gone separate ways to begin to gather up a little money, what would have happened? Well, we don't know. But thanks to the university, thanks to the internship, thanks to Conoco, they enabled us.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you very much for taking your time both to speak to our students and to meet with us here on camera.
My pleasure. It's great to be with all of you today.